cast your mind back to yesterday. So you had that delicious roast turkey with all the trimmings, the stuffing, the bread sauce, the Brussels sprouts. What are we going to do with them? What better than to make a Boxing Day pizza? So I've got a pre-made pizza dough ball here, and so those are available from our shops. Buy those in frozen, and have them in your freezer ready for Boxing Day morning, or for the lunchtime when you're going to eat it. Take them out the freezer, leave them in the fridge overnight, and then just take them out and allow them to warm up to room temperature. So, which is exactly what I've done here. I've given it a generous sprinkling with semolina flour, and that's going to help our pizza, give it a really nice crunchy bottom, and stop it from sticking while we're topping it and manoeuvring it around. If you haven't got semolina flour, then flour is absolutely fine. So just to start off with, we're going to give it a bit of a pre-shape. My frying pan is already heating up in the oven. Make sure you're using a frying pan that doesn't have a plastic or a wooden handle. So a disaster could happen. And so that's preheating in an oven. I've got set at about 300. Obviously, not everyone's oven will go up to that temperature, but get it up as high as you can. And the frying pan pizza is a really brilliant way of making pizza if you don't have a baking stone. So nice heavy based pan. So and that will heat up nicely and start baking your pizza dough when as soon as you put it in there. So we're going to start shaping it. So try and remember how big your frying pan is, because you don't start off with a frying pan this big and pizza this big. So we want to try and match the two together. Just with my knuckles, I'm going to start shaping the dough in the centre and go all the way around. And once I've started to, the dough's nice and relaxed, so it's easy to do this. And then I'm going to pick it up, and then I'm going to start stretching it out. So I've just got my thumbs about 1/2 centimetre away from the edge, and then just let the weight of the dough shape as you go along. So just literally spinning it round in my hands with my thumbs just about 1/2 centimetre from the edge. So this will make sure that we get a thicker edge and a slightly thinner base. So then I'm just going to put it over my knuckles and stretch it out a little bit. If you're feeling really adventurous, in this point you can start flinging it up in the air, and you should be able to see how stretchy it is and how thin it is. You should be able to start to see light through it. So set it back down again. That's looking pretty good, actually. Quite happy with that. So thinner in the middle and slightly thicker around the outside. So once I've stretched my ball of dough to the thickness that I want, I've got all my toppings ready here. I can then get my frying pan out of the oven. Remembering not to grab the handle without an oven glove. So, and I've also got a board here, so I'm not sticking it onto the worktop. So I don't know if you can hear that sizzle. So I'm going to get my pizza and just sit it in the bottom. Look at that. It's almost as if I measured it before we started. So we've got a thicker crust around the outside. Got plenty of semolina on underneath, so that will stop it from sticking when we get it out. I'm going to put a bit of olive oil on the bottom. And then I've got some lovely vintage grated cheddar left over from yesterday. Somebody didn't eat it, so we're going to use it up. So give it a nice sprinkling of that on the bottom. And then you can start to think, what else am I going to put on it? So I've got some roast turkey here, which I've just cut up into pieces. You could just tear it with your hands, of course. And then we've got some ham that was left over from Christmas Eve, of course. Who doesn't love a nice bit of boiled ham? And then I've got my Brussels sprouts. So these I've just sliced. So I'm going to slice those on, pop those on there. We love Brussels sprouts, so I'm going to put plenty of those on. And then I've got some cranberry sauce here. So of course you could put bread sauce on, you could put some stuffing on there. If you had any roast potatoes or parsnips, you could pop those on as well. So just whatever you've got. And of course, the great thing about making it in a frying pan is whilst I'm doing this, the base of the pizza is cooking. So, and then to top it off, I've got some Stilton here that also didn't get eaten yesterday. So I'm going to sprinkle the Stilton on the top like so. So try not to overload too much with cheese, just a sprinkling. Because if you put too much on, it just melts and then creates this sort of blanket and everything stews underneath. So, and then because I can, a little bit more cheddar over the top. And then I'm going to, a little bit of olive oil, some pepper, and I might just put a little sprinkling of salt as well. And then, remembering my oven glove, I'm going to pop that back in the oven. And I don't know, so you should be able to see this, the base of the pizza starting to cook. So back in my oven, nice and hot. And if you haven't got an oven that you can turn up really, really high, you can also pop it under the grill. So because the pizza base is baking from underneath already with the hot pan, you can use the grill as well to colour the top. So we're going to leave that in there for about 5 minutes and come back to it and see what it looks like. So here's our frying pan pizza. It's looking deliciously and golden brown all over. Cheese is bubbling nicely. Took a bit longer than a regular pizza might do on a baking stone, so it's been in the oven for about 8 minutes. So I'm just going to hoik it out and get it onto the chopping board. Put my frying pan away somewhere. I'm not going to burn myself. And let's cut it. Listen out for that lovely crunch. So when we hold it up, your pizza shouldn't droop at the end, shouldn't get a droopy nose. So that's looking pretty darn good, if you say so